Every diesel truck built after 2007 has a hidden system that's legally required to eventually strand you on the road. Your engine doesn't need to fail, your transmission doesn't need to break, the drivetrain can be perfect, your truck will still stop. Because the EPA mandated a component on every diesel truck sold in America since 2007 that clogs on its own, trips a warning code, kills your engine's power to a crawl, and can only be reset at a dealership with a proprietary scan tool you're not allowed to own. Smart diesel mechanics have been fighting this system for 15 years. Today, we're exposing exactly how it works and what to do instead. They call it the diesel particulate filter, the DPF, and since 2007, it's been mandatory on every heavy-duty diesel truck sold in the United States. Ford puts it on the 6.7 Powerstroke, Ram puts it on the 6.7 Cummins, GM puts it on the Duramax. Every 3/4 ton and 1 ton diesel on American roads has one bolted in from the factory. The DPF is a ceramic filter mounted in your exhaust. Its job is to trap soot particles, microscopic carbon buildup from diesel combustion. The EPA required it under the Clean Air Act as part of the 2007 heavy-duty emissions standards. On paper, it cleans your exhaust. In practice, it's a filter. And filters clog. When the DPF fills up enough, your truck's ECU kicks off a regeneration cycle. It injects raw diesel fuel into the exhaust stream. Exhaust temps climb past 1100 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat incinerates the trapped soot and cleans the filter automatically. On a highway, at sustained speed, it works. But most diesel trucks aren't running perfect highway miles. Work trucks make short city trips. Farm trucks idle for hours. Hauling rigs crawl through traffic at low load. In those conditions, exhaust never gets hot enough. Passive regen fails. The DPF keeps filling. The warning light comes on. Most owners ignore it the first time. Truck runs fine. They ignore it the second time. Still fine. Then the ECU crosses a threshold and your $65,000 diesel goes into what Ford, Ram, and GM call engine protection mode. Power drops. Hard. Some trucks cap you at 5 miles an hour. Others won't go above idle. It doesn't matter where you are. Middle of a highway. A job site. Pulling a loaded trailer on a 2-lane road with no shoulder. Your truck decides it's done and you have no override. To exit engine protection mode, you need a dealer-level forced regen tool. Not the OBD2 reader from AutoZone. Not any scanner you can buy. A proprietary tool that only authorized dealerships carry. The same dealership that'll charge you $299 to confirm what you already know, and another $300 to push the regen through. That's before the filter itself fails. Before the DPF is so damaged from incomplete cycles that no forced regen can save it. The DPF, 3 letters, $4,000. Replacement cost on a Ford 6.7 Powerstroke, $42,000 to $6,000. Ram 6.7 Cummins, $3,500 to $5,500. GM Duramax LML or L5P, $3,000 to $5,000. Parts and labor, before the diagnostic fee. Before the def top-off they'll tack on while your truck's already on their lift. And here's what makes it worse. This failure mode, the short-trip regen failure, the limp mode, the forced dealership visit, it was completely understood before the first 2007 diesel ever rolled off the assembly line. They knew. The EPA locked in its 2007 heavy-duty diesel standards back in 2001. 6 years of lead time. 6 years for Ford, GM, Ram, and Cummins to put DPF technology through real-world conditions, work trucks, farm equipment, city fleets, short-haul rigs, and see exactly what happens when American diesel owners do what American diesel owners actually do. They ran those tests. The data came back. Engineers documented the short-trip regen failure pattern before the mandate ever went into effect. And every single manufacturer launched anyway. Here's the revelation that'll never appear on your service receipt. In April 2024, Cummins Incorporated, the company that built the diesel engine in your Ram truck, agreed to pay more than $1.67 billion to the Department of Justice and the EPA. The charge, Cummins had fitted its engines with defeat devices. Software engineered to pass EPA emissions testing while bypassing emissions controls during real-world driving. $1.67 billion. The single largest Clean Air Act enforcement settlement in U.S. history. Let that land. The company that built the engine in your truck paid $1.67 billion because its diesel ran cleaner on the EPA test stand than it ran in your driveway. That's not a glitch. That's not sloppy engineering. That's a deliberate strategy. Run clean enough to pass the test, then run the way the market demands the rest of the time. And after the settlement? Your Ram still has the DPF. The EPA mandate didn't change, the filter didn't come out. The service revenue kept flowing, because the agreement punished the past, not the future. GM's record isn't clean either. The Duramax LML in every Silverado and Sierra HD from 2011 to 2016 generated massive NHTSA complaint volumes specifically around DPF failures. Diesel mechanics on every major forum were tracking DPF failure below 80,000 miles as normal expectation. Not an outlier. Not a bad batch. Normal. Ford's 6.7 Powerstroke adds a second trap on top of the first. Eager cooler failures on the 6.7 push coolant into the exhaust stream. That contaminated exhaust hits the DPF. Now the filter isn't just clogged, it's chemically damaged. A forced regen won't touch it. A $400 service call becomes a $500 parts ticket. GM knew. Ford knew. Cummins paid $1.67 billion proving they knew. Now look at what each failure event is actually worth to the dealership. Diagnostic fee, $150 to $299. Forced regen service, $150 to $400. DPF replacement, $3,000 to $6,000. And that cycle repeats every 50 to 80,000 miles on a work truck running city routes, every single time the service lane collects. If you own a 2011 Duramax sitting at 180,000 miles right now, do the math yourself. You've likely handed the dealership somewhere between $8,000 and $14,000 in DPF-related service. On a component you never chose. On a failure mode that was on record before your truck was ever assembled. They knew it was coming. They engineered the service infrastructure to catch every dollar of it, and the truck owner keeps funding the cycle. That's not a design flaw. That's a business model. For 15 years, diesel mechanics across America have been quietly working their way around the DPF trap. Not by ignoring it, not by hoping for the best, by understanding exactly how the system fails and using that knowledge to stay off the dealership's lift. The first thing they know that your owner's manual won't tell you: the forced regen failure is completely predictable. It happens to trucks that don't build enough exhaust heat during normal short-trip operation. And the fix that diesel mechanics have been passing around since 2008 is almost embarrassingly simple when that DPF warning light first comes on before the ECU escalates to engine protection mode. Take the truck on a highway run. Minimum 55 miles an hour. At least 30 consecutive minutes. Not city driving. Not idling. Sustained speed. Sustained heat. Let the passive regen cycle finish what it started. Mechanics who know the system will tell you flat out, most of the $400 forced regen appointments they see at dealerships are trucks that could have cleaned themselves with one highway drive. The owner's manual says, "See your dealer." That sentence earns the service lane $400 every single time someone reads it and complies. Beyond that, independent diesel shops offer DPF cleaning that the dealership will never mention. Ultrasonic cleaning and thermal restoration processes that physically strip the filter medium and bring it back to near new condition. Cost $200 to $500 at an independent. No $299 diagnostic. No upsell. Fleet operators have been doing it on a scheduled interval for years, cleaning the DPF proactively before it ever hits the saturation threshold. The dealership doesn't offer that service. The dealership offers replacement at $5,000. Now, the third option, and this is the one the EPA cracked down hard on in 2020 and 2021. The Clean Air Act makes it illegal to remove or tamper with emissions controls on any vehicle operating on public roads. That's federal law, and it applies to DPF delete kits used on street trucks. But the law draws a line, and on the other side of that line are vehicles that never operate on public roads. Farm equipment. Private land construction. Competition-only trucks. Delete kits for those applications are manufactured and legally sold. Agricultural diesel mechanics work with these configurations routinely. The legal framework is specific, the line is real, and the mechanics who do this work know exactly where it sits. But the cleanest escape, the one that requires no exemption, no risk, no legal gray area, is the truck that was built before the mandate existed. The pre-DPF diesel. Built before 2007. Before the EPA required every diesel manufacturer to install a filter that's been stranding American diesel owners for nearly 20 years. Smart diesel buyers are hunting these trucks right now. And the window on them is closing. Here's exactly what to look for if you want a diesel truck that'll never trigger engine protection mode, never need a forced regen, and never hand a dealership a $5,000 receipt for a part the EPA required them to install in the first place. Every truck on this list is pre-DPF, 2007 and earlier. No filter, no DEF system, no regen cycle, no proprietary scan tool standing between you and your own engine. These trucks predate the mandate, and every diesel mechanic worth talking to knows exactly which ones to look for. First on the list, the 2004.5 to 2007 Chevy or GMC Silverado or Sierra 2500 HD and 3500 with the LB's Duramax. Ask any diesel mechanic which Duramax they'd put in their own garage, and most of them say the same thing, LB's. It's the last clean slate Duramax GM built, pre-DPF. Pre-EGA complications. The LME and everything after it came with the emissions baggage. The LBE didn't. Proven bottom end. Documented examples clearing 400,000 to 500,000 miles on stock internals with regular maintenance. When you're looking at one, check for the ELBS badge on the intake manifold, confirm no coolant loss, pull the oil, it should be clean. These trucks have gone up over 35% in the last 3 years. Clean examples are now sitting $18,000 to $32,000, and they're still moving. Diesel mechanics who understand what they're looking at have been buying every clean LBZ they can find. Second, the 2003 to 2007 Dodge Ram 2500 or 3500 with the 5.9 Cummins. The 5.9 Common Rail Cummins, specifically the 2003 to 2007 version, is one of the most thoroughly documented high-mileage diesel engines ever built. Not rumor. Not forum legend. Verified, catalogued examples running 400,000 to over 600,000 miles on original internals. Pre-DPF. Pre-DEF. No regen, no limp mode, no dealer scan tool required. Target the 2004 to 2007 range for the highest output version. Manual or ASIN, automatic both hold up. Watch for hard starts and excessive smoke at cold idle. Clean 5.9 Cummins trucks are now selling $20,000 to $38,000, the most coveted pre-emissions diesel on the American used truck market, and they've been that way for 3 years running. Third, the 2003 to 2007 Ford F250 or F350 with the 6.0 Powerstroke, but only with one condition attached. The 6.0 has documented problems: EGA cooler failures, oil cooler failures, potential head gasket cascade from either. An unserviced 6.0 is a liability. Full stop. But a 6.0 that's been through what diesel mechanics call the bulletproof package, EGA cooler delete, oil cooler upgrade, ARP head studs, is a completely different engine. Every known failure point addressed. The result is a capable, pre-DPF diesel that'll run clean for another 200,000 miles without touching a dealership. Cost of bulletproof at an independent shop, $1,500 to $3,000. A pre-bulletproofed 6.0 on the used market, $14,000 to $24,000. If you find one already done, you're buying someone else's time and parts at used truck prices. The LBZ, the 5.9 Cummins, the bulletproofed 6.0. The mechanics who know diesel best are the ones driving these trucks home. That's the only endorsement that matters. The DPF was mandated by the EPA, installed by manufacturers who had documented its failure patterns in their own internal data before the first truck was sold. Serviced by dealerships collecting $300 to $6,000 every time the system does exactly what it was designed to do. Cummins paid $1.67 billion because their engine ran differently in your driveway than it did on the EPA test stand. That money went to the federal government, not to you. When you sign for a 2026 diesel, you're not just buying a truck. You're entering a maintenance arrangement that was written into the hardware before you ever walked onto the lot. The DPF is part of the terms. Nobody handed you the contract. But when you find a clean 2006 LBZ Duramax or a solid 2005 5.9 Cummins, that's a different story entirely. That truck doesn't have a regen cycle, doesn't have a DEF tank, doesn't have a scan tool requirement, doesn't have a software threshold that decides when you're allowed to drive. It answers to you. Nobody else. What year is your diesel? Are you running a DPF or did you go pre-2007? Sound off in the comments. Truck Truth HQ reads every one. Hit subscribe. Join the resistance. Because the same philosophy that forced your diesel into limp mode is now coming for your tow rating, your haul capacity, and how far you can drive before a government-mandated service interval kicks in. That story is in the next video. Don't miss it.